Independent wrestling changed my life. Now don't worry, this isn't going to be going, oh, I can't believe it, as tears come out of my watering holes. But just the other day, as I am recording this video, I was able to fight Danhausen, and you can go and watch that match right now on the streaming service, courtesy of UPW, also known as Ultimate Pro Wrestling here in the UK. The point is, it was one of the best experiences of my days, as you had a sold-out building screaming as my bad guy character took on what is essentially a wrestling demon. I mean, you can't beat it. Now, at the moment, too, you can actually argue that indie wrestling is important than it ever has been, or maybe even more important, and I'm about to bring you some evidence. Why? Because that's the point of the video. So let us start with the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion Gunther, because during an interview with Sports Illustrated, he talked about the independent scene, and he even referenced one Timothy Thatcher. Now, I'm sure you've heard his name because he was in NXT for a while, and ever since he did leave the WWE, he has been doing independent shows and just being like, hey man, look how good I am at the independent wrestling. Well, the independent wrestling, the technical wrestling. He's a very good technical wrestler. I mean, he's a cut above. Gunther was totally inspired by this too. Listen to what he said. I learned a lot from Tim. He was very influential on me. He made me a better professional wrestler. I think Tim would be on a bigger stage right now if he would divert away from some of his core values and accept that professional wrestling for what it is on a big stage. As much as I enjoyed that gritty can shoot style of wrestling with no smoke and mirrors, the reality is that it isn't going to draw the attention of a lot of people in 2024. At the end of the day, what we do is a business. So even though Gunther is at the tippy top of the chain, he is completely balanced and he understands the levels when it comes to sports entertainment. And listen, it came out of his own mouth. This Timothy guy that he probably passed like ships in the night made him better at his craft. And that means the former Walter, before he got into the big leagues, would not have been the performer he is today without going here, there, and everywhere and meeting these individuals. And listen, I'm not saying that's the only path to get to the top, but it is a damn good one. And he is so naturally talented, I'm sure he would have found his way there anyway. But when we are talking about the word craft, which keeps coming up here, these are the things where you just need to chip away and chip away and chip away and make mistakes so you can learn and become a better person or a better wrestler in this aspect. That's exactly what he's done. As he said too, Thatcher could be in a similar position if he just opened up a bit. But actually, the fact that he hasn't done this, well, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's almost like Thatcher was existing right now to give these people he did work with a little extra pep in their step, and that is why there are a bunch of individuals that may never become the WWE champion, but are actually super integral to the foundation of this sport. I mean, again, the world champion of the biggest company in the world just shouted out this guy, and you're not going to do that unless it means something to you. It's also a sobering reminder that not every single person has the same goal, and really, after you have been trained off, if you are able to get booking after booking and be a professional wrestler in the sense you always have dates in the diary, well, I would consider that very successful. And look, I think we can admit that the gap between the indies and the likes of WWE has been bigger than ever, and this just breeds a horrible negative reaction when somebody does leave World Wrestling Entertainment and then, according to the internet, are wrestling in front of a few people in a bingo hall. Now listen, it's never actually a bingo hall, so we've got to throw that one in the toilet. And also, do you know how many people 300 is? If you're in a room and you genuinely have 300 citizens around you, you can be like, hot damn, there's a lot of people here. You can even call it a rite of passage. And if you want to hear from somebody well more knowledgeable than I, just go and find Bryan Danielson when he talks about coming over to the United Kingdom and working the Butlins camps. Because for a man who at the time prided himself on moves and kicking somebody's ass, he was actually quite nervous because he realized, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of families out there. I'm going to have to be a character and I'm going to have to say things on the microphone. But when he saw the reaction that other people were getting, he was like, hot damn, this is going to be great. This is why when he walked the aisle, he did so to Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne and just went full on Mr. America. It was an easy way to get booed. Bryan has talked about this was super hard though, one of the most difficult things he had done at the business at the time, and this translates to someone like Will Ospreay too, who also said he felt the same, but when he saw Danielson on one of these shows, like the badass of Ring of Honor, and he was able to adjust, William was like, well, I better go do it too. That just goes to show how important this experience is. Because again, while Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson would have made it regardless, having all this extra stuff in their pocket, Well, it just gave them a better idea about what professional wrestling is. And some wrestlers don't even have the yearning to be in a TV company, and at one point that was true for Gunther too. There were so many times he was like, listen, I just want to stay at home and I want to train my students. I mean, why do you think he was in NXT UK for so long? He didn't want to go to Raw and SmackDown, then his life changed and he changed his mind. So surprise, surprise, Triple H pushed him to the moon because he wanted him from day one. It's the same for Timothy Thatcher as well, because he is probably over the moon doing this death style of technical wrestling. So he goes home every single day and it makes him feel warm and fuzzy in his tum-tum. Well, that's another huge tick box for the beauty that is independent wrestling. And he too can change his mind in the future, but until he does do that, he will be learning, he will be growing, and he will be passing this on to others. So who knows who else is going to benefit from working from Timothy Thatcher? Here's a guy we barely talk about at all, and we probably should. It's also harder to learn when you do have a television camera shoved right in your face. Also, because before you do go out there, some producer's gonna say, well, you've got 6 minutes and you have to do this, this, and this, because it's gonna build to that, that, and that. Whereas when you're on an independent show, you can get in the ring and trip over the ropes and fall right into your face, but you still have the rest of the match to make amends, and you know the deal. When you do make a mistake, it's just gonna make you better down the line, because you'll never do it again. Also, you'd rather do that in the so-called bingo hall than on Monday Night Raw, because you only get one chance to make a first impression. Without wanting to make it too much about me as well, I have experienced this firsthand, and I'm gonna use a silly word, like I'm at Disneyland. You would not believe how magical it can be. I mean, it's just so damn freeing to go out there and do whatever you want. And if the night takes you, you could even just grab a microphone and cut an impromptu promo, which I'll level with you is secretly my favorite thing to do. It also really does prepare you for anything that wrestling may throw your way, especially because you don't know what the audience is gonna do. You've got to be thinking on your feet constantly. So I would call it invaluable, and look at all the companies right now that are actually reaching further than just being a small independent promotion. I mean, there's GCW, there's Defy, Scott D'Amore has just relaunched Montreal Wrestling, you got West Coast Pro, Rev Pro over here, Progress, OTT, and we could just do this all the day long. Going back to Scott D'Amore, he was the guy that brought TNA back to prominence. If you don't think he's about to do the same thing in Canada, you're probably wrong. You're also going to see some of the stars of tomorrow on these shows, which will make you feel good in your tootsie toes. And as we have arrived at this juncture, I just want to say I have no problem with wrestling companies trying to recruit Division I athletes either. That makes sense because they can probably go in the ring. But walking the independent wrestling boards, I tell you, you're gonna have an experience like nothing else. Because first and foremost, the wrestlers who are the wrestlers will always be in the conversation. Listen, go and find your favorite wrestler today. Say it's Damian Priest and document his journey, which you can do because WWE just released a documentary about this. It will blow your mind and you'll have to lay down afterwards, because to see where he was and now where he is, well, it's just a damn beautiful thing. So as a quick aside too, if you'd like to come see me in an independent promotion near you, just make sure you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, whatever it may be, and you will see some dates. And then you can judge me too. That's the other great thing about indie wrestling. Live and in person, you can shout out, "Simon, you suck." And I'll probably turn around and go, "Shut up, mum. We've been there before." Now, listen, please go into the comments and just gush about independent wrestling, because why not? I think it's so damn good. Before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then you can click the video on the screen, which is just me shouting about sports entertainment some more, because that is my job. But others, my friend, you have a terrific day, and I'll either see you on the next video, or I'll see you in the damn ring.